The topic of this lesson is how to paint architecture in watercolor. Here we have a Spanish Baroque church on a light sky background. The creative task I had in mind is not to portray every single architectural detail, but to create an impression of a beautiful building lit by sunshine. Here is the finished artwork that I will produce by the end of this lesson. I start by making a drawing in graphite on 300 GSM watercolor paper made of 100% cotton. I wet the paper with an atomizer just a little bit so that I can paint a light sky wet into wet. For the sky, I am using a pure ultramarine pigment, and I am using a round mop brush. I now rotate the board and spray it even more with an atomizer. This softens up the brushstrokes, creating an illusion of white clouds. The facade of the church is lit by sunshine, so I start with a color of light, mixed of cadmium orange, yellow ochre light, and cadmium yellow. The correct sequence of painting in watercolor is from light to dark. When the light paint is in place, I can add colder and darker shadows, which intermix on paper with the previous wash. The ground is also lit with sunlight, and I use yellow ochre to cover the square in front of the church. Apart from colors, I must also pay attention to tonal values. In many cases, values are more important than colors. I let the paper dry a bit, after which I continue painting the architecture. The dark mix I am painting with now contains ultramarine, cadmium orange, and cadmium yellow. You may notice that even within one silhouette of the bell tower, I apply different temperatures of the bell tower so that both warm and cold shades are present in one place. By painting with loose brush strokes, I make an impression of the architectural details. In front of us, there is an old olive tree. I paint it with freely flowing brushstrokes using sap green, cadmium orange, and ultramarine to produce a nice green color. The tree trunk will anchor this olive tree to the ground, and its wide roots are also indicated schematically. According to aerial perspective, the foreground should have a sharper contrast and darker values.